Hey, who wants to go skating? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Happy Monday. Good to see you too. So, a kid in Grapevine, according to him, was trying to go to a skating rink. I don't know if it was someone's party or whatever, but he was wearing a Pro Ice shirt and he got turned away at the door. So, he did probably what I would recommend. Don't try and fight anybody. Don't call the cops on them. But if you're offended, you have every right to let the rest of the world know, hey, this is how they're doing business over here. Adjust your behavior accordingly. And I don't know whose side to take on this, but this is one of those where we're going to play a little game of whose side are you on? Because I think this is going to be a good one because in today's episode of Whose Side Are You On, I actually can see both sides of this argument. I have sympathy for the kid. I have sympathy for the business owner who's in kind of a no-win situation. But let's start with the viral video. Kid denied entry.
Hey guys, I'm here at Galaxy Skate and I'm wearing my Stand with Ice shirt, and they said that I had to take this off because it's violating one of their policies that they had just made up. I told her to show me it and she shows me her dress code. It says nothing about wearing what you stand for. It says nothing about that. And she said that since she's a private store that I have to take off this. So I just took it off not to cause any trouble, but that's insane. I will never be coming back here. If someone was wearing a Pride shirt or any other shirt, she would stand for it.
So this is a great hypothetical come to life that we talk about in economics at all times. What if you're turned away? What if a business is openly discriminating against you? Should government force them to act a certain way, or should the free market handle that? And if the free market handles that, what does that look like? So I love this, but before you even start to draw conclusions, hang on, tap your brakes. I have the response from the skate club, and I'm going to try and use their name as little as possible because I don't want them to get any negative attention out of this, because I'm not even sure where I land on this and like what's your final answer. But I think this was from Facebook. So the skating rink said, I would like to make a public statement about the incident that occurred yesterday at our facility. A young man was asked to move a t-shirt that had a politically charged statement on the front. He was not denied entry, and once he removed the shirt, he was able to continue skating. I asked this young man to remove the political shirt due to comments I was receiving from other guests about the shirt. Politics do not belong in a facility that hosts children. There are too many people in this world that intend to harm others for their political opinion. And out of the concern for safety, I asked that no politically charged t-shirts enter the facility. I can guarantee that if the t-shirt represented the opposite view, I would have asked the young man to remove the statement as well. This is a place of fun and joy, not indoctrination. I would like to ask that if you have seen this young man's video, that you take a moment to understand why I asked for the shirt to be taken off and not to jump to conclusions about my own political views. Also, I was in fact concerned for his safety when I considered the issue. A skating rink is not a place for politics. Neutrality for the sake of the safety of children is allowed because I cannot control the people who come into the facility with anger for their own opposition. Thank you for your attention. All right, I got to admit, I kind of like that. That's a pretty good reply there. And one of the things I like about that reply is it doesn't necessarily... Oh, that was the wrong button. I was going to applaud. It doesn't necessarily sound like it was written by a team of lawyers. But it also lets you know that when we talk about businesses, a lot of the businesses that we deal with in our own backyard, it's just a guy. It's just a guy who owns a skate park. This isn't like a national chain. This isn't some big conglomerate. This isn't some, offshoot of the parent company, Berkshire Hathaway or something huge like that. It's just a guy. And he likes skating, and so he wanted to share his love of skating with other people. So he got a barn, put down a skating rink, he's trying to make a little bit of money, hosting birthday parties, and just generally giving people a good time. And whether you agree with his politics or not, if you want to go skating, you should just go skate. Now, there's the classic economic argument here is, is it moral? Is it ethical to boycott your neighbor just because he disagrees with you politically? And there's a lot of gray area in that because it depends on what the disagreement is. If you guys disagree on what the capital gains rate should be, you're ridiculous to boycott his business. But if you're a Jewish fella and the guy on the that owns the skating rink is Hamas, then maybe I could understand why you would want to spend your hard-earned money with him. But I like this. Where do you stand on this? Whose side are you on? The kid wearing the Pro Ice shirt or the skating rink that turned him away? 800 288 9227. 800 288 9227. Now, I'm trying to read between the lines here in the response from the skating rink because they're not, if they are just picking on this kid and discriminating against him because they disagree with his politics, they wouldn't come out and say it. They would couch it in the, well, we're just against political shirts of all kinds. And so that's easy to test. Someone go there tomorrow, wear a politically charged shirt from the other direction. Were there other people in the skating rink that were wearing politically charged shirts in the other direction? Any pride shirts? Because he brought that up at the end, pride shirts. Have you seen a pride shirt in there? Was it tolerated? And it just stinks that politics is just everywhere now. And even when you go to the skating rink, we got to worry about politics now. You can't just see a shirt of something you disagree with and not have a problem with it. Because I think the real problem here isn't the owner of the business and isn't the kid who was wearing a Pro Ice shirt. I kind of like both of them. The real villain of this story is the jerk customer who took offense to the shirt and went and reported him to management. Because now this bully was able to leverage his grievance against a small business owner just trying to make a buck in order to force that kid to take off his shirt. I bet it was an adult. That's my problem with this story, is that somewhere floating around the Grapevine area is an adult who can't stand to see what looks like a 16-year-old kid wearing a Pro Ice shirt. Now, there's a lot of reasons this should bother you. Number one is, did you know that there was 56 people who were killed by ICE when Barack Obama was president? Was anybody anti-ICE then? Was this guy in Grapevine that griped about a child's Pro Ice shirt and got it removed from the skating rink? You couldn't even be on the same skating rink as a kid in a Pro Ice shirt. That's how delicate your sensibilities are. Did you say anything when Obama was deporting millions of people and 56 people died in ICE custody back then? In case you think I'm making this up, it's a big viral video that's going around.
It's wild how short people's memories are. Under Obama administration, 56 people died under ICE custody. 56.
Yeah, I'll play the rest of that report coming up. And I got some callers already lined up. But whose side are you on this one? And what's the problem here? How do you fix this? Because in my view, I would like for business owners to start ignoring people like that. But if you ignore people like that, they're going to cause bigger problems. And so you got to say, well, if the whoever's going to win this argument comes down to who's going to act more feral if they lose, that's a pretty ugly place to be in. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. More on the skating rink political dilemma coming up. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. To skate or not to skate? That is the question. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. You're home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. This would be a good story for them. It sounds like the kind of thing they would talk about. It went viral here in North Texas. Some kid was trying to go into a skating rink and he got turned away. This was the viral video.
Hey guys, I'm here at Galaxy Skate and I'm wearing my Stand with Ice shirt, and they said that I had to take this off because it's violating one of their policies that they had just made up. I told her to show me it, and she shows me her dress code. It says nothing about wearing what you stand for. It says nothing about that. And she said that since she's a private store that I have to take off this. So I just took it off not to cause any trouble, but that's insane. I will never be coming back here. If someone was wearing a Pride shirt or any other shirt, she would stand for it.
Now, some people in the comments, not a lot of them, think that, well, this is a First Amendment issue. No, it's not a freedom of speech issue. It's a private business. They can turn customers away. Or they should be able to turn customers away for, I don't like the message on your shirt. I'm okay with that. I'm just not sure if that's good business. And I'm not sure if in their reply when they say, well, we don't like any political shirts of any type. Well, that's a pretty bold statement too. But of course you would say that. So I can't really fault anybody here. I fault the person who complained about a child's pro-ice t-shirt. Because at that point, the business owner's in a no-win situation. You can either tick off the left or you can tick off the right. Now, me and you know which one's worse. Because, you tick off the right, they make a video. You tick off the left, things catch fire. Mark and Alan, you're on WBAP.
Yeah, I fault the business owner for not having the guts to just say, you know what, it's free country. He wants to wear that shirt. You want to wear your shirt. This is a business. We're not making a political stance either way.
Well, yeah, but Mark, in the business owner's defense, what if this is like one of your most regular customers? What if this is your wife's brother? We don't know the situation. And I mean, I'm with you. Yeah. Business owners should all stand up to bullies like this, but there's negative consequences to the business owner. Would you rather have this kid make a video, or would you rather have the upset anti-ice guy making a video and upsetting his friends?
Well, here's the deal. Until we rein in these people on the left that think they have the right to destroy property because someone disagrees with them, we're going to have to put up with this crap. But if someone would take a stand, and if we could actually enforce the law and arrest these people for damaging and ruining people's lives, then it's not going to get any better.
Well, then we also have if we know these people weren't upset by pro-ice paraphernalia under Obama, then that they're just upset now because they're told to be upset about it.
Exactly right. And then what gives someone the right to stab an ICE agent in the crowd? What gives Don Lemon the right to storm a Baptist church because they think an ICE officer is going there to worship?
Mm-hmm.
It's getting out of hand, and until somebody stands up to these people and there's some consequences for their actions, it's got to be done.
All right.
I think I speak for a lot of people. I'm sick of seeing all the talk. I want action taken. I want people prosecuted, and I want people put back in their place to say, if you don't like it, that's fine. Shut up and keep your mouth shut. I don't go up to people wearing a Pride shirt in the middle of a grocery store and say, that disgusts me.
Yeah, we got to kick him out. I'm going to get the manager, and we're going to remove you. I'm so offended. I can't even share the room with you in that shirt. Well, look, Mark, what you're stumbling on, and thank you very much for your call. That is the definition of bigot. When's the last time, because this is a word that gets way overused and way misused. Here's the definition of bigot. Noun: one who is strongly partial to one's own group, religion, race, or politics, and is intolerant of those who differ. So if you can't even be in the same skating rink as someone who disagrees with your position on ice, you are a bigot. Thank you, Mark. This is John in Azle. Hey, John, you're on WBAP.
Hey, James. Hey, I just got a quick thing I was thinking about. What about that baker that got sued several years ago because he would not make a cake for a gay couple? I mean, is this kid? I mean, where is this stuff going to stop? I think that's where it all started.
Yeah, that's always going to be the touchstone case of our time when it comes to, can a business owner turn a customer away? That's a perfect example to bring up. But I think what got missed in the conversation is there's a guy here, like he's from Canada, but I think he's in Dallas now. I think do you know Steven Crowder? He used to be a really funny comedian turned political, has a very, very successful podcast. And when all that was going down, John, you probably missed this then if you don't know him. He dressed up and went into a bunch of Muslim bakeries and tried to get them to make him a gay cake. And they all turned him away. He videoed it, like the clandestine hidden camera video. And so there's audio, there's video, there's no doubt that this actually happened and the way it happened. And he got turned away from, I think it was like 20 bakeries. It was ridiculous because he kept going in and acting flamboyant. And, will you make me a gay cake, or whatever he was trying to do? And so they didn't really care that a baker was turning away a gay person from a wedding cake. They cared if and only if it fit the other existing political narrative. So they're not even pro-gay. They're just exploiting people's sympathy toward gay people because, we all have like a gay cousin or a gay friend, or I used to live with a lesbian couple. So they're exploiting your affinity and your emotions to further a political cause, but really to demonize half the country is what that's all about.
Right, but doesn't that kind of go with the ICE thing also? I mean, if this kid was supporting ICE.
Yes.
I mean,
yes, absolutely. No, you're right. That's a great parallel. No, good. I should have brought that up myself, actually. So thank you.
Have a great day, sir.
You too. Josh and Graham. Hey, Josh, you're on WBAP.
Yes, I'm pretty much the guys that's called and made their comments pretty much touched on what I was going to comment on. Somewhere in we have to draw the line. We have to draw the line. We have to make a hard line, and we have to stand by it. And it's going to get nasty. It's going to get ugly. But we have to remember, as patriots of this country, what's important, and that's the values. That's the truths. That are the things that are right. And quit letting these leftists have their ways on everything. On the battlefield, it's nasty.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, Josh, because you're talking a big game and it sounds good, and it sounds like I agree with it. But what am I supposed to do? Every radio company is overwhelmingly left wing. Am I not supposed to do business with them? I know. This is not an easy one, which is why it's so fun to talk about with you guys.
It's not an easy one, but it's not easy. It's not easy, but there's still the right and there's still the wrong. And I know it boils down to people's perception on right and wrong, opinions. But we have to stand up. I agree with these guys on here that's commented on this station. I've been listening to the station for 40 years. And we have to draw the line. Far too long, these people has had their way in this country without any pushback at all, and they expect it, and they're used to it. They're used to getting their way. We're going to have to go in there and draw the line and straighten this out, and it ain't going to be easy.
If the media wasn't sharpening the razor's edge of their hatred, we wouldn't have this problem. We didn't have this problem 10 years ago when Barack Obama was president and ICE was deporting 3 million people, because the media wasn't telling these people to be upset. The media wasn't telling these people that we're literally Hitler, Nazis, and Gestapo. So, I mean, for so much of this, sad as it may seem, if we fix the media, some of this other stuff just fixes itself. I don't have an answer for that, though, John. Josh.
It's the interest groups. It's these people coming out here and campaigning and, all these commercials and crap. They're all left wing. If you listen to the way they are, they're all left wing. We got to.
All right, Josh. Are you on Twitter/X?
No, sir. I have a little bit, but Truth Social is what I'm really on.
All right, but if you get on, maybe he has an account on Truth Social too. But there's an account called "White Guys Are Stupid in Commercial" or "White Men Are Stupid in Commercial," and it's just the whole feed is how every commercial that comes out, the white guy's a boob, and the person that sets them straight is either a person of color or a woman of color, especially, or an immigrant or something. All right, coming up, Milton Friedman explains how capitalism forces people who absolutely hate each other to work together. One of the biggest forces for good on the planet. You'll hear that next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, let's go skating. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. The top story here is a local viral video from over the weekend. A kid was denied entry into a skating rink, or I think he already got, the way it sounds like from the skating rink's response on social media is that he got in and a fellow customer complained that he was wearing a Pro Ice shirt, so they asked him to take it off.
Hey guys, I'm here at Galaxy Skate, and I'm wearing my Stand with Ice shirt, and they said that I had to take this off because it's violating one of their policies that they had just made up. I told her to show me it, and she shows me her dress code. It says nothing about wearing what you stand for. It says nothing about that. And she said that since she's a private store that I have to take off this. So I just took it off not to cause any trouble, but that's insane. I will never be coming back here. If someone was wearing a Pride shirt or any other shirt, she would stand for it.
So Robert sent me a Facebook message, said you could probably spot the person who complained they were probably wearing a mask for COVID. And it was, all right, maybe so. Maybe so. Yeah, so I'm also interested in the kids' response here. I am never coming back here again. Well, you didn't even leave when they told you that they didn't like your shirt. You just took your shirt off and stayed. I guess he had another shirt. Was that like a shirt on top of a sweatshirt, or was, I don't know. So we have the issue here also of what would you do, Parker? I don't know. I'm not really that sensitive to people who disagree with me politically, because me being more libertarian than anything else, that means I can't do business with 95% of the country. It's not really an option for me. It's almost a luxury that you can say, oh, I'm only going to do business with people who agree with me, because, you know, you're already slicing off about half the businesses as it stands. But also when he says, I'm never coming back here again. Well, what if every other skating rink in the area cost 10 times as much? You'd be crazy not to go back. So there's this delicate balance seesaw. How much are you offended by their political views versus how much do you need their services or their products? And so now we're not even talking about manners or etiquette or anything legal. Now we're talking about economics. Ooh, you got me all excited, because now I get to bring up Milton Friedman, who in his allegory of the pencil explains how the profit motive, capitalism, free markets are the greatest source for bringing people together, for cohesion between competing ideologies that absolutely hate each other. We will all work together flawlessly, seamlessly, beautifully, if it means we can make a better life for our individual families. So here it is, Milton Friedman and the pencil.
There's not a single person in the world who could make this pencil. Remarkable statement? Not at all. The wood from which it's made, for all I know, comes from a tree that was cut down in the state of Washington. To cut down that tree, it took a saw. To make the saw, it took steel. To make the steel, it took iron ore. This black center, we call it lead, but it's really graphite, compressed graphite. I'm not sure where it comes from, but I think it comes from some mines in South America. This red top up here, the eraser, bit of rubber, probably comes from Malaya, where the rubber tree isn't even native. It was imported from South America by some businessmen with the help of the British government. This brass ferrule, I haven't the slightest idea where it came from, or the yellow paint, or the paint that made the black lines, or the glue that holds it together. Literally thousands of people cooperated to make this pencil. People who don't speak the same language, who practice different religions, who might hate one another if they ever met. When you go down to the store and buy this pencil, you are in effect trading a few minutes of your time for a few seconds of the time of all those thousands of people. What brought them together and induced them to cooperate to make this pencil? There was no commissar sending out orders from some central office. It was a magic of the price system, the impersonal operation of prices, that brought them together and got them to cooperate to make this pencil so that you could have it for a trifling sum. That is why the operation of the free market is so essential, not only to promote productive efficiency, but even more, to foster harmony and peace among the peoples of the world.
Coming up next, the ICE protests continue, most notably in Minneapolis, and an ICE agent pulls up and he gives some protesters a hard time. And you're going to love the audio next. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, the ICE protests continue. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. They're coming up next from 11 to 2. Funny guys with a lot of stories you won't hear elsewhere. But one video that kind of made my weekend is there's a couple of, I mean, you could just see the archetype in your head. Middle-aged, white female liberals who are out protesting and still blocking ICE. Like they just don't learn their lesson. And so there are two ladies who are standing next to each other. One of them has her phone up. There's a guy at the end of the block that's been honking at ICE agents who are trying to do a raid. And while the camera's rolling, this ICE agent comes up. Now, you can't see this, so let me describe it for you. Number one, it's snowing, and that always seems weird to me. Like ice is falling out of the sky just on a regular day, and no one's acting like it's an emergency, like everyone's just going to work. But it's a Hispanic fella, and you can tell by his accent, English isn't his first language, but he's an ICE agent. And so you can't throw the race card at him. You can't say, well, he doesn't understand, or he's just exploiting brown people or oppressing minorities, or he is just a bigot or a nationalist or has no love for Hispanics. And he's having a talk with white ladies. And he explains to them why they're wrong to be messing with this raid. Why? Because they're trying to arrest child predators today.
For your reporting, we're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
Oh, they're not. No, we're pressing. We're not.
That vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane.
Well, and this is the frustrating part, is we feel like this is performative. And why is it performative? Because they didn't go out and block ICE agents when they were deporting millions under any previous president. And just like Obama said, I played it pretty much every day last week, where he's like, this is what we've done, every president for the last half century. But now all of a sudden, it's crazy to deport people. It's crazy that people are dying in ICE custody. Look, it's a human endeavor, any law enforcement action, and you risk there's an acceptable amount of people that are going to necessarily die because it is a violent act. But did any of these people, those white ladies that were just blocking ICE and interrupting them while they're trying to get child sex offenders, were any of them protesting or blocking the streets when 56 people died under ICE during Obama?
It's wild how short people's memories are. Under Obama administration, 56 people died under ICE custody. 56. That's not a conspiracy. That's public record. According to the ACLU, under Obama, under ICE, failures of medical care, ICE malpractice. The list is long as to why and how these deaths occurred. And somehow, no mass riots. Obama deported over 3 million people. Let's not forget that, people. I say that in so many of my videos. Millions. And a lot of them were fast removals. No real hearing, no judge, no full due process. And here's the part liberals don't like to bring up. Tom Homan? Yeah, that Tom Homan? He was running enforcement under Obama. And during that time, he was given an award back in 2015 for his work with ICE. Even Democratic states allowed ICE to do their job under Obama. Here's my thing. If you're going to be mad, be consistently mad. Liberals were not mad when ICE was doing their job. All 8 years with Obama, they weren't mad in the streets. Now, I'm not saying that deaths don't matter. They always do. I'm saying the outrage only appears when it's politically convenient, aka selective outrage.
So over the weekend, let's see what the other side was saying. There's a viral video that kept showing up in my feed, and I just can't roll my eyes hard enough at this one, because you've heard this as well, if you, especially if you're on social media. But in this video, there's a black man who looks like he's about my age, late 40s, and he has what looks to be his 10-year-old daughter next to him, but kind of behind him. And so his face is front and to the left of your screen. And he keeps looking back and forth between his daughter and you. After she says what she says, he keeps looking at you like, yeah. Like he's making a good point that is totally irrefutable and is just crushing the opponents. But it's one of the weakest arguments you've possibly heard. But they act like it's great.
If it isn't about racism, how come ICE isn't deporting white immigrants?
So then he looks at you, and then he looks ahead, and then he looks at you, and then he looks ahead, and then he looks at you again, and then he looks ahead. Just to kind of let you stew on it, right? So just to address what she actually said, if
It isn't about racism, how come ICE isn't deporting white immigrants?
Okay, so everything about this is just based on fantasy here. Who says ICE isn't deporting white immigrants? Who said? Where's the numbers on that? Do you have the numbers? Are you showing me, hey, look, here's the number of immigrants deported. Here's the number that are white. Because you need that number, and then you also need to give me the number of what percentage of illegal aliens are here are white. And so then we know if they are being deported proportionately, disproportionately, not at all. But they just throw this out there. Who says? Do you have any proof that they're not white? If they are deporting white people, you think I have a problem with that? If they're deporting white illegal aliens, does anybody have a problem with them deporting white illegal aliens? I mean, maybe David Duke probably doesn't have a problem with them, even that guy. But it's just fantasy. I can give you a few more good answers into that. What percentage of illegal immigrants here are white? Did you even bring that up? Did you even look it up? Do you even know? Or are you just repeating things that make the other side sound racist so you can eject your way out of actually having an intellectual debate? Oh, nope, I've already declared my debate opponent to be evil, so now I do not have to defend my position. Why isn't ICE deporting white immigrants? I hope they are. If they're illegal and they're white, I don't care. Get them out of here. I think everyone agrees with that. We talked about 2 weeks ago. There were the Latvian illegal immigrants here in Texas who did the $45 million gift card scam right before Christmas. We were celebrating the heck out of that. But this breaks my heart because you see this over and over. Once the race card is played, some people just turn off their brain. Doesn't matter what happens after that. If it's been declared racist and I believe it, I don't care what the other side says. They're still wrong. And so then they go off and they believe ridiculous statements like this. Why isn't ICE deporting white immigrants? Who says they're not? I bet you they are. But it sounded like something that fit the narrative that would be a good gotcha for the other side. And it just gets repeated and then retweeted and then repeated and retweeted and repeated and retweeted to where there's a big chunk of the country that thinks that's true and thinks that you're okay with it. So we're not making a whole lot of progress in the court of public opinion when it comes to these ICE raids. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, what the heck did Jasmine Crockett say this time? So much I had to break it down into 4 sound bites. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. What the heck did Jasmine Crockett say this time? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. And in today's edition, I had to cut it down into 4 pieces. So she did 2 hearings on Friday. And I played the one that from the morning on the show on Friday, and then the one that was happening during the James show on Friday. We're going to go through that right now, and it is a doozy.
Jasmine Crockett, queen of the liberal tea.
Bleach blonde, bad built butch body, Governor Hot Wheels, and he is a hot ass mess, honey.
Queen of the liberal tears.
Today's edition is brought to you by the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, where the James Show will be broadcasting live today from 2 to 5. So let's start off with this whole straw man. This is all about racism. Remember in the last segment I was playing you, if this isn't about racism, how come they're not deporting white people? Here, I'll just play for those of you just joining us. No, not that one. What did I just do with it? Oh yeah, it was in this folder. Here it is.
If it isn't about racism, how come ICE isn't deporting white immigrants?
And then the dad just stares at you like, Well, where are they getting that? They're getting it from people like Jasmine Crockett.
My question to any of you, and I just go down the line and ask you, is it right or wrong to arrest someone because of the color of their skin?
Absolutely not.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because of their accent?
Wrong.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because they were exercising their constitutional rights?
It is wrong.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because they simply disagree with you?
It's wrong.
All right, so it seems like y'all all went to elementary school and y'all can tell right from wrong. I'm not really sure what is going on with ICE right now, but I can tell you, and as we heard earlier, this is pure racism.
So none of that's true. No one is getting arrested because of the color of their skin. No one's getting arrested because they have an accent. Now, these little factors that she is spouting, they can be used as evidence that someone may be here illegally. Yes, of course. How else would you identify an illegal immigrant? You know, one of the telltale signs is an accent, especially one that's not Hispanic. So, you know, good Lord, they must be from the other side of the planet. You can kind of tell by looking at some of these people, the way they dress. What music are you listening to? You know, there's all kinds of, and it doesn't make you a criminal, doesn't make you a bad person, but when you're in the business of arresting illegal immigrants, you are being judged and being profiled, and that's totally legal. In fact, it's the most normal thing in the world. How on earth would you go catch illegal immigrants without being accused of racism if these are the standards? But if you lie about it, then you come to the absurd conclusion that this is just all racism. So we'll pick it up from there. Because in the second part, if we're not just enforcing the laws as they're written, if we're not trying to save the country, we're not trying to, you know, curb illegal immigration because it has all kinds of negative consequences on the people of America, and it's just racism, well, why would we do that? That doesn't make any sense to the disinterested third party who hasn't made up their mind on these sensitive issues. Well, if the right wing isn't trying to save America, if they're not trying to get rid of the fraudsters and the welfare and the criminals and the people who aren't supposed to be here and the people who drive down wages and take up jobs that Americans would otherwise have, then why you say if it's just based on racism, you mean they're just doing it, Team Red's just doing it to be cruel? Jasmine says yes.
This is pure racism. I don't know why we want to tinker around with it and pretend as if it's something other than what it is. I like to call a thing a thing. And he has told us time and time again who he was when he talked about certain people being from certain whole countries. Those are his words. The only reason I'm cussing in this moment. When he said things like they are eating the cats and dogs. We knew exactly what we were getting. And some people are saying, I don't know how we got here, but I do. Because we know that dehumanizing, I believe that you said something to the effect of cruelty and humiliation are the point. That's what you said, Miss Patty.
Now, I know you don't believe that. You know you don't believe that. But she is training these other weak-minded people and telling them that's what you think. No wonder they're out there protesting. You mean they're not even doing this because they want to enforce the law? They're not even doing this because this is what's best for the country? They're not doing this because this is what's best economically for citizens who are in low wage, low skill jobs trying to eke out a living for their family. They're just doing it out of racism. So even if it hurts the country, they're going to all this time and effort just because they hate brown people. That's her message. Yes. Well, why are you being mean to them? That's the point, is to be mean to them. That's a terrible worldview. That's what she's saying about you. Now she continues. I find it interesting. She brings up the civil rights movement with dogs and water hoses. Because I know, every time a sheriff was sicking dogs or water hoses on protesters in the civil rights movement, it was a Democrat. Bull Connor, George Wallace. Every time a governor was standing in the doorway of a schoolhouse and the Republican president had to send the National Guard in to remove him, it was a Democrat. Orville Faubus over in Arkansas. She knows that, but she still says this anyway.
Because when we look at other places, say places that did things like, go door to door looking for people as they had to hide out, say in an attic. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Or the images that I have seen of people being attacked by law enforcement, whether we're talking about dogs or fire hoses, it seems very reminiscent of something that we have seen before in this country. And then people get offended and try to say I'm too black. But the reality is that y'all never let the fact that I am black go. So I'm going to be clear about one thing. I know my good black history.
Does anyone bring up her race? Has anyone ever said, man, I think you're too black? Because I haven't. Coming up next, if you hear all of this setup, why does Team Red support this? Why are they doing this? Why are they deporting these people? And you come to these awful conclusions. Oh, they're doing it because they're racist. The cruelty is the point. It's not even for the good of America. They just want to oppress other people because they like hurting people. Well, the conclusion you're going to hear next will explain what's going on in Minneapolis right now. 800-288-9227. We continue with What the Heck Did Jasmine Crockett Say this time next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. What's up, fellow Texans? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. They're big fans of Jasmine Crockett, those three guys. They love her to death, just pieces. But we're in the middle of a longer than usual episode of What the Heck Did Jasmine Crockett Say this time, because I had to break it down into 4 bites. If you're just joining us, the first 3 bites, we're basically setting up these straw man arguments over what you believe. She was saying that you support ICE because you're racist and you don't mind the cruelty and shooting of innocent people by ICE who just run around executing people for sport. And I love this like little fantasy nightmare scenario that they live in, where ICE just run around, these masked guys or just roving bands. Hang on, is that a person of color? Got him. Stop it. It's ridiculous. However, there's a lot of people who believe this. There's a lot of people who are acting on this. There's a lot of people who hear this, get so motivated, they feel like going and blocking ICE with their car and then disobeying lawful orders and then trying to escape the heck out of there and getting themselves killed. We have people interrupting church service now. But let me finish with Jasmine Crockett. So you get this whole hellscape straw man scenario, this fantasy almost, this Handmaid's Tale wannabe worldview. And so once you believe these absurdities, the next step is to get you to commit atrocities.
Y'all, we are living with an abuser right now. That is who Trump and his administration is. And frankly, I think we all have a little bit of PTSD. But if you know anything about a domestic abuser, the one thing about them that you need to know is that they are some of the biggest cowards that you will ever find. What they can't stand is when you actually fight back. And so thank you so much for everybody in Minnesota.
Now, the most damning part of this is the comparisons to Obama. Number one, in the Trump 1.0, remember in the first term with the kids in the cages? And they're like, did you see this? Trump is he's separating families and he's putting kids in cages. And we're just better than that. This is inhuman. This is evil. Only a truly evil person would treat children like this. And then you find out 2 days later that the photos were from during the Obama administration and the whole issue just got dropped. But that was the most telling thing. And that is the archetype that keeps getting repeated over and over and over. Well, you just said that only a bad person would do this. And then we found out a bad person did this, right? No, Obama's still good and Trump's the bad person. So the selective outrage really is everything. They're all upset because this Venezuelan got shot by ICE, or Renee Good got killed by ICE, or someone else got hurt by ICE, or they're wearing masks, or they're scaring people, or they're kicking in doors, or this is a little reminder.
It's wild how short people's memories are. Under Obama administration, 56 people died under ICE custody. 56. That's not a conspiracy. That's public record. According to the ACLU, under Obama, under ICE, failures of medical care, ICE malpractice. The list is long as to why and how these deaths occurred. And somehow, no mass riots. Obama deported over 3 million people. Let's not forget that, people. I say that in so many of my videos. Millions. And a lot of them were fast removals. No real hearing, no judge, no full due process. And here's the part liberals don't like to bring up. Tom Homan? Yeah, that Tom Homan? He was running enforcement under Obama. And during that time, he was given an award back in 2015 for his work with ICE. Even Democratic states allowed ICE to do their job under Obama. Here's my thing. If you're going to be mad, be consistently mad. Liberals were not mad when ICE was doing their job. All 8 years with Obama, they weren't mad in the streets. Now, I'm not saying that deaths don't matter. They always do. I'm saying the outrage only appears when it's politically convenient, aka selective outrage.
Yeah, so they're only upset because they're told to be upset. They're not sitting there looking at the deportation numbers going, this is too high. We've got to stop this. They're not sitting there listening to the police scanner. Oh, my gosh, I shot somebody. We've got to stop this. They get upset when they're told to get upset. So really, so much of this, the fault of this lies at the Jasmine Crockett's of the world and then the media who use that as a giant bullhorn to blast it in everybody's face. And this is no small trifling matter here. The people who develop the worldview that this is all based on racism, cruelty is the point, and your Team Red neighbors are just white supremacists secretly who are oppressing people for sport because they enjoy it. Well, then your natural reaction would be to go block ICE. But if you realize that that's all BS, that's just straw man. Team Red is not a bunch of bloodthirsty racist monsters. In fact, they're following the same ideology, same behavior pattern, same policy preferences as Barack Obama's administration. Well, then the logical reaction would be, well, don't interfere with ICE. Let them do their work. Let them deport these people, just like we allowed it to happen under Obama. What was the negative consequences of Obama deporting 3 million people? Was that a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing now? Because you and I both know it's not. But they can't say that. They instead have to say, I don't know, play the race card. Yay. So that's where we're at. Coming up next. This is why I enjoy the Mom Donnie winning the New York City mayoral election. It's just one terrible idea after another. Now they're going to go on a series of crusading through the city, building standalone public restrooms. What could possibly go wrong? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm going to be live from the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo this afternoon, 2 to 5. I'm going to be doing at least a half hour on Martin Luther King because it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. But next here, Mom Donnie, mayor of New York City, keeps throwing out terrible idea after terrible idea, and I got to tell you, I love it. It's just the worst idea followed by the worst idea. And in today's edition, Mayor Mom Donnie said they're going to be building public restrooms all over the city. So what do you think? But before I even play the video, he made a little hype video here. It's not even a minute long where him and some lady are going through, and they have like an example of it. And it's a standalone restroom with water fountains on it. What do you think is going to happen there? Homeless people are going to live in there. People are going to do drugs in there. People are probably going to do prostitution, sex work in there. And nicer neighborhoods, maybe it stays clean and good. But generally speaking, we've tried this before. Gas stations have tried this before. There's a reason why businesses don't have restrooms that are open to the public unless you buy something first, or at least in like downtown Dallas over here, or the wrong part of town where homeless people frequent. Businesses have to put that sign up for a reason. Now, out in Bug Tussle, we don't have homeless people, so we don't have people that are randomly walking in so they can use your sink as a shower. But here's Mom Donnie, just one of the dumbest ideas that has failed every time it's tried, and he's saying it, number one, like it's a new breakthrough. Like, look at what we're going to do. This is really progressive. No, you're repeating failed ideas from 100 years ago.
Do you ever find yourself wandering around the city with no place to go?
No matter what you do, how old or young you are, what borough you call home, you've been here before.
A sudden stream of thoughts fills your mind like a waterfall. Might seem like a laughing matter, but
Public restroom access is a real issue here in New York.
and one we're committed to solving. That's why we're proud to announce not just the construction of a new automatic public toilet right here in Harlem at 12th and St. Clair,
But also a new pilot program to make it easier to build new public restrooms all across our great city.
in the past, building these kinds of facilities have faced a number of obstructions.
But we've worked to find a way to get these free public restrooms passed and built.
We'll do this by partnering with vendors to make modular facilities, which won't require subgrade hookups, which means fewer steps to approval, faster construction, and more public bathrooms across New York City, which means relief for all New Yorkers.
So rejoice, every New Yorker who's up here around 12th Avenue and St. Clair.
A better solution is coming soon.
Based on what? You know, they never tell you how this is going to work. They just tell you we're going to spend all this money. We're going to do this centralized economic planning, and we're socialists, so we just believe this is going to work. What weird religion is this? Because what I'm looking for is if you could say, hey, they tried this in San Francisco and it worked, or they tried this in Philadelphia and it worked, or they tried this in Houston and it worked. But no, they're like, hey, we just have this theoretical hypothesis that if we put up public restrooms, it's going to be great. What's the problem you're trying to solve here? Because one thing I like to point out here is you look at the nice neighborhoods, you look at the nice cities that don't have problems with crime and homelessness, and you say, well, what are they doing different than the cities that do have a problem with crime and homelessness? And so there's a just hilarious stark contrast you have between downtown Dallas and then you go up the road about 4 miles and you're in Highland Park. Why is Highland Park so nice? Why don't they have homeless people? Why don't they have people that are over next to that tree? Because if you go downtown, you could be driving through and there's some guy in the park and he's whizzing on a tree. I hate to see it, especially when my kids are with me. But they don't have that in Highland Park. Why? Is that because they have public restrooms? Or is that because they arrest people and put them in jail for being vagrants? They don't allow people to sleep on the sidewalks. No, if you're having a problem with wayward dukes in your town, it's because you allow them. It's because you allow vagrancies. It's real easy to prevent that. And the towns that don't have a problem with homeless people urinating and pooping all over the place, it's not because they put up public toilets. Where do y'all even come up with this? This was so easy in the short while that I lived in New Orleans and did radio there. Lake Pontchartrain divides the city into half. And the bottom half of the city, totally Democrat, 100%. And it's all every factor of Team Blue. There's the academics, because there's like 4 colleges in there. There's the moneyed, old moneyed elites. There's the, like the shipping magnates, because there's a big port there. And then there's all the underclass, the vagrants, the losers, the welfare recipients, the white overeducated college kid that's still living in his parents' basement. And then you go across the lake and it's like 90% Republican. It's different towns, but it's the same culture, the same group of people. You just have it divvied up into almost 100% Democrat and almost 100% Republican. And all you got to do is say, what do they do on the North Shore? They don't have any crime there. They don't have vagrants. They don't have wayward dukes. They don't have homeless people blocking the sidewalk. You're never having to step over needles when you go to the park. It's not because they did public restrooms. It's not because they do all these social programs or midnight basketball or whatever dumb idea they come up with next. They have a little thing called dads, number 1. Number 2, they enforce the law as it's written on the books. It really is that simple. All right, coming up next, I'm going to give you a sort of preview to the larger Martin Luther King Jr. Day salute that I'll be doing this afternoon. And it's just pretty much all of my favorite sound bites from Martin Luther King Jr. on this, his day. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Happy MLK Day. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Your home for Mark Lee Van Camp and Robbins, which is coming up in about 16, 17 minutes. But it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And remember, he is not Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He is Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. He was not a doctor. I mean, not like a real doctor that's writing prescriptions. He had a doctorate in theology. But they like to try and separate him from Christianity as much as possible because, you know, when you're deifying someone, you don't want to make the Moorish traditions and religion of Team Red look good at the same time now, do you? But MLK is one of the most misused and abused sources of quotations in American history. Both sides claim that they are carrying the torch of his legacy. But let's go through some of my favorite here. Number one, this street sweeper one. If you go way back in the day, in like the year 2000, my grandmother had two cars. One was her daily car, one was her spare car. Well, she was turning like 70-something, and she's decided, well, I only need one car. I don't need a spare car. So she gave me her old 73 Comet, a Mercury Comet. It was awesome. But it only had an AM radio in it. Didn't even have an 8-track deck in it or anything. So in the year 2000, I'm driving around a car that only gets AM radio. Coincidentally, when I started listening to WBAP on a regular basis. But there's another station that was like a soul station. What was it? Soul 730 or 77. I forgot what they were. But they used to play Martin Luther King clips between some of their songs, or Malcolm X clips, or, you know, some other Black Power, Soul Power clips. I kid you not. And this is one that they played. And the first place I heard it was this radio station in Dallas that doesn't exist anymore.
What I'm saying to you this morning, my friend, even if it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, go on out and sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Handel and Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley, but be the best little scrub on the side of the reel. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. It isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are.
I love that because, number one, it doesn't fit in with this whole wealth envy sect of Team Blue. Because so much of Team Blue is based either on racism, homophobia, or Islam. They take some identity group and then tell you, hey, Team Red hates you. You need to vote for us. But if you don't have one of those things going for you, you can always fall back on good old human envy. Hey, this person over there, they're more prestigious than you, or they have more money than you, or they have a better job than you, and you're just a lowly. Well, even if you're a street sweeper, don't gripe. Don't act like, oh, this is some big injustice. It doesn't matter how just your society is, how fair, how equal things are. Someone's got to take out the trash. And so if it falls to your lot in life, whether fair or not, you might as well just do a good job. Don't walk out. Don't protest. Don't give your employer a hard time. Don't quiet quit. Don't slow roll it. Whatever your station in life ends up as, you might as well just be the best at it, whatever it is. He didn't say if you're going to be a street sweeper, just quit, get on public assistance, get your food stamps and welfare, and then gripe when people take it away for 3 weeks during a government shutdown. He didn't say that. So I love that one. I also love his take on white power and black power, how both of them need to go away.
Let us be dissatisfied until men and women, however black they may be, will be judged on the basis of the content of their character, not on the basis of the color of their skin. Let us be dissatisfied. Let us be dissatisfied until every state capital be housed by a governor who will do justly, who will love mercy, and who will walk humbly with his God. Let us be dissatisfied. Let us be dissatisfied until that day when nobody will shout white power, when nobody will shout black power, but everybody will talk about God's power and human power.
You better watch it, saying nice things about God and Jesus. I don't know if that would fly in 2026 Team Blue sensibilities, sir. You're supposed to be interrupting Christian churches. We'll talk about that coming up on the afternoon show. This is Keith in Corsicana. You're on WBAP. Hey, Keith.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Great. Go ahead.
Hey, I did a report on Martin Luther King whenever I was in high school, and this was in the 70s. And if people would look him up, they would know that this man was associated with over 60 different communist organizations. And during the height of our Cold War with the Soviet Union, he made several trips to Moscow. This man was a communist, and everybody celebrates him like he's just some big civil rights leader. And when he talks about everybody living equal, who lives equal in communism except the elite? Everybody lives equal. They don't have nothing.
Well, listen, Keith, I don't put a whole lot of stock in his economic arguments, but I don't think his driving thrust and his contribution to society was an economic one. I think he was trying to, do the civil rights movement. I think he did a pretty good job sort of wrapping that up and at least codifying equality. And yeah, look, he went to the Soviet Union. So did Bill Clinton. So did Bernie Sanders. At this point, Tucker Carlson's visited Russia a couple times too. Yeah, but is Tucker Carlson a bad person for visiting Russia? Look, he has his flaws. Look, the other legit criticism of MLK, and because I just don't want to be a one-sided hack here, is the FBI uncovered some pretty convincing evidence that he was a philanderer. He had sex outside of marriage on a somewhat.
Well, yeah, but that's private. That's
agreed.
That's
Agreed. And but my reaction to that, and thank you very much for bringing this up, Keith, because maybe I do sound like too much of a one-sided hack. A couple of responses to that is, number one, God has a great history of using flawed people. Even with sexual deviations, you can go all the way back to King David or whatever the heck else has happened in the Old Testament. There's a lot of weird sex stuff going on there. But also, even if he's a bad person, that doesn't make what he says wrong. For the people who are like, oh, I don't believe in the Bible, I don't believe in Jesus, I don't believe in magic or fairy tales or miracles or whatever. Look, even if you don't believe he was God, the Ten Commandments is still a pretty good set of rules to arrange society by. Love your neighbor as yourself. Still pretty good advice. All the advice he gave. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. The societies that followed those values, those precepts, those principles, those traditions actually seem to flourish a whole lot better than the societies who didn't. So even if you don't believe in the guy being perfect and awesome and whatever, it's still solid advice. You should still be judged on the content of your character and not the color of your skin. I don't care how many threesomes he had. Even if that's true, it's still good advice. I think we should not discard. What are we going to do? Oh, Martin Luther King cheated on his wife, so I guess we need to be judged by the color of our skin again. No, I don't think that's the lesson there. But thank you for calling in. That's Keith in Corsicana. We'll talk about this more on the James Show coming up this afternoon, where I will be live from the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. I'll be in the exhibit hall, so come on by and say hi. I'll be live from 2 to 5. So we'll talk about that, my full Martin Luther King review. And also, we're going to take a big focus on these church services, these Christian church services being interrupted. Between now and 2 o'clock, I want you to find what word is it when you are anti-Christian? Because we have anti-Semitic, we have homophobic, we have Islamophobic. Is there has anyone in media history been called Christophobic? Is there even a word for it when someone discriminates against you for your religion? Why is that? All right, stick around. Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins is coming up next. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.